Today we have a very important video of me reacting about an hour ago to Nima Yamini, who is a Mizrahi Jew who recently posted a video circulating on the internet about his experience with racism in Israel, both in person, traveling, and also the representation, or should I say lack thereof, of the Mizrahi narrative in Israel advocacy. I also include Tal in this video because Tal is a good friend and a Mizrahi Jew, and they both chimed into this conversation today because it's circulating across the internet. And there are elements of what they've both said and done that I don't like, and I point those out, as well as elements about what they both mean and are trying to achieve that I very much not only like and fully support. Let's first take a look at the video of him, and then we will look at my reaction.
I remember going to Tel Aviv once from New York with a bunch of European Ashkenazi Jews. I was the only one to get pulled over. I was the only one to get detained for 2 hours. A few years back, I remember going from Rome to Tel Aviv. I'm the only one that got pulled aside. I'm the only one that basically had to go naked. Then I was told that they would take my belt, my luggage, my iPad, my mobile, or I can't board the fucking flight. I boarded that flight. Then this IDF soldier told me everyone was waiting for me. I paid extra to sit in the front of the fucking plane because I get anxiety when there's too much turbulence and it's easier in the front of the plane. I was instructed to sit in the back of the plane. And I looked at other Ashkenazi European Jews switch as much as they want. I was so pissed off, I left Israel early that trip. And then my boy, who's French and Arab, he said, come meet me in Spain. I went to Spain before going back to New York. I met my wife. That was the one thing that came out of this. But you want to know something? Ever since I spoke up about Ben Shapiro, I'm getting that feeling again of, hey, boy, you know your place. Hey, boy, it's like when I'm in Israel, I want to go use the bathroom, and a security guard who's also a dark Jew like me looks at me like I'm a terrorist. Oh, but the Ashkenazi can just walk in and use the bathroom, right? I could put up 500 million views, but Roseanne Barr doesn't invite me to her podcast. Free Press doesn't write an article or offer me a podcast deal. No, they offer that to who? Ashkenazi Jew. Larry Ellison doesn't give a fuck about me. I admired Larry Ellison for over 20 years. I used to look at Roseanne Barr as a child just to find out I'm a sand nigger. Jerusalem Jew. Speak about the Iranians. Speak about the Arabs. But then shut up, boy. No, I'm not going to shut up anymore. I remember going to Tel Aviv.
I am an Ashkenazi Jew, and I'm going to chime in right now regarding Nima and his most recent posts about the Mizrahi community and experience. This is the reaction video that I made about an hour ago. Laki is here to solve and calm the situation down with harsh love. Over the past couple days, Nima has shared on the internet what his experience has been like historically as a Mizrahi Jew, the lack of representation of the Mizrahi narrative in Israel advocacy, and he's gotten a lot of traction and a lot of pushback specifically from the Ashkenazi community, both in person in Israel, traveling, as well as on the internet. Go to his platform to see the full video, as you always should. His essential idea is that the Mizrahi narrative in Israel advocacy is underrepresented, and even when we have people like Ben Shapiro, who is pretty much at the forefront for a lot of our advocacy, who does an incredible job, does not step into the position to also represent, for example, Nima's family's journey from being in Jerusalem before 1948. There's a lot more to it. What I want to say first is that, Nima, while I actually really do hear you, and I'm going to get to that in a minute, I think the way that you conveyed this, I'm an Ashkenazi Jew, the way that you conveyed this to the public, bro, it's not the right energy, my guy. You made it seem like the Mizrahi narrative, while yes, only 31.8% of the Israelis today are of Ashkenazi, which means that the majority are Mizrahi, you did make it seem like the diaspora experience for a lot of the Ashkenazi Jews, my family included, who comes from pogroms in the 1890s from Lithuania, is quote-unquote less important, but I know that's not what you mean. which is why I'm making this video. I think there could have been a way more productive way to create some dialogue, because the way that you approach this, especially for the Ashkenazi community now, has created way more divide. And we are already divided. You call Ben Shapiro a snobby Ashkenazi representative of what our narrative is, and that's because, of course, you don't see him at the forefront representing the Mizrahi community narrative, which, by the way, I'll get to in a second, I think is imperative in Israel advocacy. But bro, your energy, your frequency, the vibration that you're operating on here, trying to convey this to the Jewish community, it's filled with anger, dude, with hate. It feels like you're humiliated by something. And that's never going to get the response. Even though I know how angry you are inside, it's never going to get the response that is needed for us to push forward. If you stay for the rest of this video, you're going to hear me loud and clear about what I feel about the Mizrahi community, including a very good friend of mine. What we need is unity. We have to have the tough love and dialogue, but we all are one family rooted from the same root, which is the Jewish family. Sephardi, Mizrahi, Ashkenazi, I don't care. But we do need to talk about some uncomfortable truths, so let's talk about Tal. I am by no means saying what I'm about to say because Tal is a good friend. In fact, I'm going to share with you something that I don't agree about Tal with what he said today. But this is Tal on the left and his grandmother on the right. Tal's family comes from Greater Mesopotamia, and he chimed in regarding the recent events and said on X, "My thoughts on Ben Shapiro, I love him, I look up to him, I have nothing but respect for him, but I think this fight and the challenges we are facing now can't be won with him at the helm. Mizrahis and Ethiopian Jews only moving forward, in my opinion, that's the winning strategy." Tal, actually, you know that I love you, but this is also the same energy that in a written form, Nima was giving to other people about creating more divide. Because you know who else falls into that category of people that aren't Mizrahi and aren't Ethiopian Jews? Me. And the rest of us. My family comes from Lithuania originally in the 1890s, facing atrocious pogroms and the Holocaust, and the entire European and global catastrophe for Ashkenazi Jews isn't more important, but it's not less important than Mizrahi narrative. Now, while I agree with where you're coming from and Nima, and I'm going to get to that in a second, the part that really stuck with people, and if you go through the comments, is what you say that it's only Mizrahi and only Ethiopian Jews at this point should be moving forward to doing Hasbara. And that's never going to solve anything if you're just basically going to dilute the rest of the narrative of the Jewish story. Just to tell all of you, this is Tal's YouTube page. This man's made 1, 2, 3, that's dominoes, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 videos recently, 10, 11, about Ben Shapiro. Oh, he for sure talks about the Ashkenazi narrative. Now, while I think Nima and Tal and the other Mizrahi and Sephardi community that did chime in with sort of this antagonizing approach, while I think that you guys could have done it a different way, what we as a collective, and it's not just Ben Shapiro, it is the collective of the Israel advocacy world, what we fail to do is represent the Mizrahi narrative of what has happened to Jews from Greater Mesopotamia, which is not more important than the narrative of people like my family or those from Europe, but it is as equally as important. Take Tal's grandmother, for example. Tal's grandmother was born in the 1930s in Baghdad, Iraq. In 1941, in June, on the 1st and on the 2nd, her and another 150,000 Jews were cleansed out of Iraq. In 1948, there were around 1 million Jews living in Muslim countries. They were all cleansed from their homes. Now, this does not mean that that is a more important or less tragic experience than what happened to Jews in the 30s and 40s in the Holocaust. Coincidentally, they both happened within the same 10-year period. But why is Tal's grandmother's story and many of the human beings who come from Greater Mesopotamia and the Middle East, why are they not platformed as much? I really want to know why. What is the reason? There has to be a reason, because rightfully so, Tal, Nima, and many of the others, who, by the way, the majority of the Israelis today in Israel in 2025, as I am recording this video on November 18th, the majority of them are Mizrahi. I mean, I saw somebody reply to Tal's post today on X in the comment section and have the audacity to say that what the Mizrahi Jews went through doesn't compare to what European Jews went through. The fact that we are creating a 2-column, 8.5 by 11-inch paper grade scale comparison between the Jewish experience of those from Greater Mesopotamia to those in the diaspora, since we have been around, and trying to compare in grade scale which one was more severe, which one was less severe, to me, is a repulsive ideology internally in the Jewish community that we must get rid of yesterday. Like the fact that we're coming from a place of, was it worse than the Holocaust? Was it less worse than the Holocaust? Like, yeah, from a numerical standpoint, what Hitler and Nazi Germany successfully did to our ancestors is utterly repulsive and the worst atrocity committed against Jewish people ever. But that ever does not mean that you leave out part of our history. It's as if we are driving a car with three wheels, and we are off balance in this Israel advocacy Jewish story narrative. And we've been driving this car with three wheels, and we've been continuing to just forget to put the fourth back on so that we could simultaneously work together to get this whole narrative out there. That is how I think about the Jewish world. And I'm not comparing my story to Nima's story, to Tal's story. It's all rooted in trauma for the same reason, because it doesn't matter if your skin is white or brown, if you're Ashkenazi, Mizrahi, we're all one thing. We're all Jewish. And then on top of that, you have people trying to claim that Tal's jealous of Ben Shapiro, that these people are jealous of Ben Shapiro. It's insane to me that people are unable to look inward and they project their insecurities and the things that they haven't worked through about themselves outward onto other people. Case in point is what I saw today happening to Tal, who so happens to be my friend. But if it wasn't my friend, like Nima, I mean, we're not friends, but he seems like a friendly dude. People don't know who they are personally. And I know Tal personally. I know this man inside and out. I know his family's history. This man isn't jealous of Ben Shapiro. I just showed you 2 minutes ago the amount of videos that he represents for Ben Shapiro and all of the other Ashkenazi people at the forefront fighting the good fight, because we're all fighting the good fight. But Nima, going on X and saying that Ashkenazi Jews are going to fear what you said more than they fear Candace Owens or Nick Fuentes, brother, that's not the energy that we need. And you're not helping the cause. You're not. And Tal, actually, to say that should only be Mizrahi and Ethiopian people at the forefront of advocacy, I don't agree with that either. However, Tal's family story, Nima's story, the Mizrahi story, these things can't just be blanket statements and talking points for you when it's convenient. It's part of the full narrative. And the pain that they feel is rightfully so pain that they're allowed to feel. Because how is it that we are still in 2025 and their narrative is not represented as much as the rest? It doesn't make sense to me. Like, how is it that they're getting this much hate from our own people because they're sharing their perspective? They're on the receiving end. Do I think that the way that they delivered it should be different? 100%. I've said that 3 or 4 times already. Nima heard it, Tal heard it, and the rest heard it too. The way that you deliver it, words really matter for both of you listening. But listen to what they're saying and not how they're saying it just for one moment. And what they're saying is super valid. And I'm an Ashkenazi saying that.
I posted this reaction video on X and TikTok and Instagram, and I've already gotten both an incredible amount of support, but also at the same time, and understandably so, people who have responded with a fair amount of animosity towards him and towards me. It's to be expected because I understand the psychology and how consciousness works and just energy fields in general. The interesting thing is that when you look at some of the comment sections on the post on Instagram, you're going to see people who, like, one person said that they believe he did not ever come to Israel. And it's like, first of all, he came to Israel last year to volunteer his time to support Israel, and he interviewed me at Dizengoff Square personally. Second of all, the fact that I saw that leads me to believe other people have these belief systems that they've only created in their own head through their own emotional state that does not have any validity or real objective truth and weight towards that conviction, which is just a reflection of where we are from a consciousness standpoint. We are just projecting out what we have inside of us without working inwardly first. And instead of us working on ourselves and regulating our own emotional state, because we can't regulate anything, we're creating scenarios and I know the truth. How do I know the truth? He came here. I could take a video tomorrow and show you exactly where he interviewed me. It's on camera. It's not published on my channel, but it's on camera. And when you see comments like that, it's only more data and it's only more proof in the pudding that people then continues. And you just look in all these comment sections, people are just hating and putting him down and coming at him. I just saw somebody put out this like really long X post saying that they did some real deep research on him and claiming he's not a real Jew. Get the fuck out of here. It's such bullshit, man. It's ridiculous. I believe I provide a really good nuance on this channel, and I provide a really good nuance for things when I get to know the thing. Who are you to chime in on somebody's life when you don't even know them? What did Douglas Murray say to Dave Smith on Joe Rogan? Can we not forget the best moment of 2025? When he looked Dave Smith in the eye and he asked him when is the last time that he's been to Israel or the region, and he's never been here. And Douglas was absolutely shook to his core, and he said, "You've never been." Dave has given permission for so many people in the world to do what he's done, which is create a very deep, heavy, radical position on a global conflict, deep position rooted in a lot of context about a conflict in a place in the world that he's never been to. And he's therefore given the permission for everybody who is influenced by him to do the same fucking thing. And now we do the same thing to him. I know him. He just DM'd me on Instagram to thank me. The hate, the divide, the damaged consciousness of people is absurd and repulsive. And like I said in the video, is a disgusting ideology in the Jewish world that needs to be rid of yesterday to get rid of it. I suggest you go take a look at his profile. And I suggest you think very hard before you leave a comment on somebody's video or post, putting them down, coming at them personally, acting like you fucking know. You think I'm affected by the comments of people on my channel every day who say things about me, how I look, my family, what I do, what I don't know, my education, where I'm from, where I've been, what the reason I've decided to leave Israel at the beginning of the war? Like, you think that shit affects me, man? No one knows me like that. It's good for my algorithm. I love that shit, actually. But you think, think it affects me? It's a reflection of you. It's a reflection of where you are emotionally. The fact that you took the time to comment on my video to try and put me down and then wait for 44 people to like it so you feel better about yourself when you go, that's where you are, bro. But it helps the algorithm. Love you all so much. Here's a note from me. Here are 4 ways you can help us grow if you believe in our mission. On Buy Me a Coffee and PayPal, you can directly contribute to helping this message grow and reach more people across the world. If you want to join the inner circle, join our Patreon with different tiers, and of course, our Discord community, which is free with people from all across the world. The links to every single one are in the description. And last but not least, to the Other Brock community, I love you. Ani ohev otchem. I'll see you guys next time.